So we won, and I couldn't be happier for a number of reasons. One is that the Republican attempts at voter suppression have failed. Not that these don't need to be looked into, they do. But at least they'll be looked into by a government under President Obama, not President Romney, who would sweep everything under the rug. Now, I'm not entirely against the idea of voter ID. But if you're going to institute voter ID, that you must have some sort of ID to vote, you have to give people at least 2 years to do this. You have to publicize it. You have to make it aware. There are people in this country, for instance, people who live in New York City, who don't drive. They've never driven. They don't have a driver's license. There are a lot of people in this country who've never been outside the country. They don't have passports. There are a lot of people, including a number of older people, who were born at home. And they may not have the standard documentation that a lot of people have, like a birth certificate. So they need time to assemble the appropriate documentation. And they need assistance, and that needs to be made available too. And it can't be made so onerous as to leave some people out. I mean, if you've lived in the same place for 60 years, and everybody knows you, affidavits from your neighbors should be enough to prove who you are. Another thing that was very troubling is what's happened in Florida. Well, what happened in Miami-Dade County was an absolute mess. And yet people stood in line for hours to vote, and I give them a lot of credit for that. But did you know that something like 20% of African-American men in Florida, I think it's 25% in Miami-Dade County, couldn't vote because of felony convictions? Talk about disenfranchising an entire group of people. And I know some of you are going, felony convictions. You have to remember that most of these convictions were drug-related. And the way minorities are treated as far as drugs go is quite a bit different than the way that whites are treated. It's been a scandal for a long time, and Florida was a place where this was very common. That some, middle-class white person got busted for cocaine, they got a slap on the wrist. If you're black and you got busted for crack, you got time in jail. So we have our lousy drug laws. We have the even worse administration of the drug laws. And then we have racial profiling. So it's not surprising that a large number of African-American men have felony convictions. But the governor and the Republicans in Florida made it extremely difficult for them to get pardons or to get the convictions wiped away or whatever so that they could vote again. So that left out a whole huge group of people. And that's just simply wrong. So I'm glad that Obama won because the voter suppression attempts by the Republican Party lost. I'm also extremely glad that Obama won because all that money that all those people spent to try to put Romney and the Republicans into office didn't work. It's gone. The Koch brothers and people like them spent a freaking fortune, and it's gone. And what do they have to show for it? Nothing. So that makes me very happy. I love it when they lose their money. Another reason I'm very glad that Obama won is something I mentioned before, and that is that I think this is a chance for the resurrection of the Republican Party. And I think that's an appropriate term, because the Republican Party, as it originally was, the party that stayed out of people's private business, died a long time ago. But not only did Obama win, but a lot of the real nut jobs lost. Todd Akins, The Woman's Body Has a Way to Shut Itself Down, lost. And I think that's a really good sign. And Democrats have also won the Senate, and that's good. Now, the House is a different matter. And the House, I don't really understand anymore. I used to, but I don't anymore. But I'd be willing to bet there are a lot of moderate Republicans in the House. They just don't mention that they're moderate Republicans because that's not popular. So I think there may actually be a chance for the Democrats to actually get together with some of the more moderate Republicans and get something done. And it gives the moderate Republicans a chance to bring back the party and to get rid of all these idiots and to stop looking like a bunch of damn fools. So that makes me feel very good too. Because we do need two parties. But we also have to stamp out this theocratic nonsense. I mean, it doesn't make any difference if you're religious or not. I mean, Joe Biden's Catholic, you know? He's a far cry from the idiot who was he debated against. Good old Mr. Ryan, the guy who nuns were following around on a bus because they were so objected to him saying that his budget was based on Catholic principles. They found that just outrageous. And the Catholic bishops actually came out against his plan. They couldn't come out quite specifically because they stayed out of the politics end of it, but they did reiterate there are certain Catholic values and there are certain non-Catholic values. And guess what? Ryan's budget plan fits into the latter category. So, all in all, it's been a good day. But we're not done. We're not done because in 2 years, there's another election. And we have to start preparing for that election now. I know a lot of people are going to say, well, how do we do that? You know, I'm not like a real political person and I don't really want to get involved. And then, of course, there are some people from other countries. The way we can get involved, even if you don't want to go out and join something, is to be aware and to find out what's going on and to support people and legislation that you agree with. And to talk to people, talk to your relatives and friends. And if you have conservative relatives and friends, you know, just simply point out to them that there are certain people who really don't have the country's best interests at heart. Not only that, they don't have the Republican Party's best interests at heart. And we can contact your own representatives. Find out who they are, if you don't know, and you should, and contact them and send them emails. That's the simplest thing you can do. Let's just send them emails and let them know how you feel about something. You can even call them. That's actually worked. I have never called my representative, but I had a friend of mine get really ticked off about something. Pick up the phone and talk to Leon Panetta, who was our representative at the time. And I was quite surprised. He just happened to be there, and next thing you know, here's my friend talking to Leon. And, of course, part of that was he happened to be in town at the time. A lot of times, you know, they're in Washington. But you can contact them. And you can send them letters, and you can send them emails. And not just, you suck, or I want you to do this, but say, you know, I support this legislation because I think it's very important, and whatever. Or whatever you do, please don't vote for this, or please don't vote against this, because this affects me, affects my family, everybody I know. And this is important because the ultra-right isn't gone. They're still going to fight gay marriage. There's still going to be a war on women, as much as the Republicans say there isn't. There's still essentially a war on immigrants and immigration. They're still going to try voter suppression methods. So we have to be vigilant and keep an eye. And one of the things we can do is look in your state and see what voter suppression methods happen in your state, and contact your representative. Or even if your representative you think is worthless, and believe me, I've been in that position. I lived in Orange County, and my representative was Judge Schmitz at one time. He was the only member of the House who belonged to the John Birch Society. He was a real weirdo. But you can actually contact a neighboring district and say, hi, my representative's an ass. Will you listen to me? I mean, may not say it in those words, but you get the general idea. And if you're out of the country, that shouldn't stop you from writing a letter or writing an email. No, dear. And again, you can pick someone, find someone you like, or find someone or even someone who's a district, that you like. My congressman is Sam Farr, great guy. He's part of the no hate campaign that a lot of people in Congress did, and meaning no hate with the 8 in there for the hate. Write Sam Farr, Farr. Sam, I think you know, and tell him, hi, I have a friend who's in your district, and I live in the UK, but things that happen in the United States, affect the entire world. So I was hoping you might listen to something I have to say here, because you have certain legislation that's going to have an effect on all of us. There's nothing to stop you from doing that. So we're not done. We're just beginning. And I think that's very important, and I think everyone needs to do that, and I think we need to encourage each other to do that. And I'm going to try to remember when certain legislation comes up or something is happening to let people know. And you don't have to agree with me. I mean, you can contact my representative and say, hi, I have a friend who lives in your district, and she's an idiot. That's okay. But as long as you get, real, intelligent reasoning. I mean, not just say she's an idiot, but I completely disagree with her because da-da-da-da-da. But we need to start now. Well, not right now. It's 10 o'clock at night here. But maybe give us a few days to relax. Or maybe not. Because remember that voter suppression stuff? We need to be vigilant about that. And this nonsense about 20% of African American males. I may have the percentage wrong, but I'm not far off. Unable to vote because of, bad drug laws, racial profiling, you name it. That's just absurd. So maybe we need to start tomorrow. I don't know. Just please, what happens in this country affects the entire world. And we need to remember that. And we need to stop the theocratic bullshit. And stop the people who are trying to control women's bodies and are trying to tell people who they should marry. And some of you may disagree with me on these points. But if you do, again, speak up. Well, you don't have to say anything to me. But speak up. Contact your congressperson or the one next door and tell them what you think. And you can write to any of them, too. If you see that somebody's supporting legislation or maybe they're wavering on it and maybe they're, they're from Massachusetts and you're from Texas, you can write them. There's nothing wrong with that. But that's all I wanted to say, that it's a good day right now. And tomorrow will be even better because it'll be confirmed. And hopefully we'll figure out what the hell happened to Florida. And so anyway, good night, everyone. And please remember, we're just starting again. Bye.